I just finished watching Volume 1 of Stranger Things Season 5. The Duffer Brothers really were not messing around when they said this season was going to be massive. From the surprise returns to the heartbreaking monologues and that explosive finale that changes the entire lore of the show, let's break down exactly what just happened to our favorite Hawkins residents. We open up with Hawkins looking absolutely miserable, stuck in a quarantine zone that feels more like a prison than a home. It is bleak, it is dark, and our heroes are exhausted because we are actually dealing with a significant time jump here. It has been 18 months since the rifts tore Hawkins apart, and while that sounds like enough time to fix things, the priorities have not shifted 1 inch. It is still all about finding and killing Vecna. We see them doing these things called crawls, which is basically them risking their lives to map out the Upside Down and search for Vecna, and it is stressing me out just watching it. During one of these latest crawls is actually when things go wrong for the Wheelers specifically, because Holly gets snatched up by a Demogorgon, which adds panic to the whole operation. The tension is incredibly high right from the jump, and things naturally go sideways immediately when Hopper gets trapped in the other dimension. This kicks off a rescue mission led by Eleven, and can we just appreciate the father-daughter dynamic here? After she saves him, they have this really tense, terse discussion that just screams of shared trauma, but they eventually get on the same page. They decide it is time to stop playing defense and go on the offense by raiding this government-funded military base that has popped up in the Upside Down. The rumor is that Dr. K has captured Vecna and is using him for something shady, which, knowing the government in the show, is 100% believable. Whatever Dr. K and the military are hiding, they have clearly been prepared for Eleven because she mentions that the military has something like kryptonite to use against her, specifically pulsing sound waves that stop her from using her powers. So we get this incredible sequence of Eleven doing some super-powered parkour to break into the lab, and it is visually stunning. Hopper is right behind her, and we get a moment that honestly stopped my heart for a second. Hopper offers to sacrifice himself for the cause. He gives this heroic speech, and for a solid minute, I thought this was it. I thought we were losing Hop. I was ready to throw my remote at but then he doesn't die. Thank goodness. They managed to knock out Dr. K, who is played by Linda Hamilton, by the way, which is legendary casting, and they get to the cell where Vecna is supposed to be. But this is where the first major jaw-drop moment happens. They open the cell, the dramatic music swells, and it is not Vecna sitting there, it is Kaylee. Yes, 008 is back. Remember her from that one episode in Season 2 that everyone loves to hate? Well, it turns out the Duffer Brothers did not forget about her. She was being used by Dr. K, and her return is massive. Her head is notably shaved, which implies she has been experimented on extensively, or perhaps used as a weapon by the military to create those very sound waves or mental blocks they are using against L. It changes everything for Eleven because now she has her sister back in the mix, and honestly, the idea of Eleven, Will, and Callie teaming up is giving me major X-Men vibes, and I am here for it. While all of that insanity is going down, we have the other group, Dustin, Nancy, Steve, and Jonathan, stuck in their own nightmare in the Upside Down. They originally went in there tracking a Demogorgon, hoping it would lead them to Holly, but they hit a dead end. They run into this massive, disgusting, impenetrable wall. It is gross and terrifying, but obviously that is not the only source of drama because we have the love triangle rearing its ugly head again. The two older boys are bickering over Nancy while the world is literally ending, which feels very on brand for them, but thankfully Dustin is there to actually be the brain cell of the group. He intercepts a radio signal, and at first they think it is coming from the military base, but Dustin, being the math genius he is, realizes the signal is coming from the wall itself. He does some quick calculations and figures out that the wall is actually a circle encompassing all of Hawkins, and the center of that circle is the Hawkins lab. It always comes back to the lab, doesn't it? It is never a coincidence in this town. This revelation is huge because it suggests that the root of this infection, the heart of the problem, is right where it all began, bringing the story full circle in a really poetic but terrifying way. Back in the quarantined version of Hawkins, the situation is even more dire for Mike, Lucas, Robin, Will, and Joyce. They have been trying to free these children who were caught by Dr. K. The assumption was that Kay was using the kids to lure out Eleven, which seemed plausible given that the military is trying to track down any surviving test subjects. But then we find out that Kay is not actually the one pulling the strings in the way we thought. She doesn't realize that Vecna actually wants the children. He has been disguising himself as this creepy figure called Mr. Whatsit, more on that terrifying name later. to trick the kids into thinking he is a benevolent force. He lures them in with promises of safety, but it is a trap. Having all the kids in one location is actually the worst possible scenario because it is exactly what Vecna wanted. They try to bust the kids out using this elaborate system of tunnels and toilets, which is very Goonies-esque. But before they can get everyone out, Vecna shows up. He unleashes the Demogorgons, and it is chaos. Speaking of chaos, I know you are probably deep in the trenches of Reddit. Theories and refreshing Twitter every 5 seconds for more spoilers. But if you want to take a break from the doom scrolling and actually support a human being who spends way too much time overthinking TV shows, you should totally subscribe. So, Vecna manages to get away with the children, which is devastating. But before he leaves, he has a confrontation with Will that is probably the most important scene in the entire series so far. He gives Will a sort of explanation, a villain monologue that actually makes a twisted amount of sense. He asks Will, "Do you know why I chose them to reshape the world?" And then he drops. He says it is because they are weak in body and mind, easily broken and reshaped. He calls them the perfect vessels, and then he looks at Will and says, "You, Will, you were the first, and you broke so easily. You showed me what was possible." It is absolutely brutal. He is telling Will that his trauma, his suffering, was basically the prototype for Vecna's grand plan. He tells Will that some minds simply do not belong in this world. They belong in his. It is gaslighting on a supernatural level, and he leaves Will behind, thinking he is broken and useless. But Vecna made a huge mistake. He underestimated Will Byers. We get this incredible moment where Robin's voice echoes in Will's head, reminding him about accepting himself. We see a montage of young Will and Jonathan, reminding us of the love that has kept him tethered to humanity. And then it happens. The moment we have been theorizing about since season 1. Will unleashes his own power. He is not just the victim anymore, he is the sorcerer. He taps into this newfound telekinetic ability that he has apparently developed through his connection to the Upside Down. And we see his eyes turn completely white, just like Vecna's do. He uses this connection to literally hijack the hive mind. He absolutely destroys the Demogorgons, and not just one, but he telekinetically stops and kills 3 Demogorgons in 3 separate locations simultaneously, saving Mike, Robin, and Lucas all at once. He saves his friends, he stands his ground, and afterwards he wipes a bloody nose, which is the universal Stranger Things signifier that, yes, I just use superpowers. The screen cuts to black. It is an instantly iconic moment. Will Byers has powers, people. After years of just touching his neck and saying, "He's here," our boy is finally fighting back, and it feels so earned. The idea is that he has always had this potential since his exposure to the Upside Down, but his internal conflict and lack of self-acceptance blocked it. Now that he is starting to accept who he is, thanks to Robin and his own growth, the dam has broken. Mike even explicitly calls him a sorcerer and suggests he control the hive mind, so this isn't just random, it is the new game changer for the rest of the season. We also have to talk about the Max and Holly Wheeler subplot because it is weird and trippy and very important. Holly, Mike's little sister, who has been a background character for ages, is suddenly front and center. She is trapped in Vecna's mindscape, which the characters are calling Camazotz. If you paid attention in English class, you might recognize that name from the book, A Wrinkle in Time. In the book, Camazotz is a planet of extreme conformity controlled by a disembodied brain. Here, it is Vecna's mental prison. Holly was lured there by Mr. Watson, thinking she would be safe from monsters, but it is obviously a trap. The twist is that Max is also there. Even though Max is in a coma in the real world and acknowledges that she actually died at the end of season 4, her consciousness is roaming around Vecna's memories. She tells us she woke up in the Rainbow Room after feeling something calling to her. She finds Holly and they team up. Max realizes that the monster Holly is afraid of is actually the person who created this place. Max reveals that she actually found an entryway back to Lucas by following the sound of Kate Bush's running up that hill, but the song ended and the portal closed before she could get through, which is just tragic. Now she is forced to hide in a cave because it is the only place Vecna won't follow her. They have this plan to escape, but they need more time, so Max sends Holly back to Mr. Watson to pretend like nothing is wrong. She specifically tells Holly to go back to the Creel house in the Mindscape so they don't tip Vecna off. It is a massive cliffhanger for them. We also get the horrifying realization that while Holly's mind is in this safe-looking Camazotz place, her real body is likely in the Upside Down getting its life force sucked out by vines. It is the ultimate duality of Vecna's cruelty. He keeps your mind in a cage of comfort while he devours your body. Since we are diving deep, let's unpack the Mr. What's-It thing a bit more. The name is another reference to A Wrinkle in Time, specifically Mrs. What's-It, who introduces the characters to alternate dimensions. But Vecna's version is a twisted reflection of that. He is the ultimate child snatcher, playing on innocence to destroy it. It also ties into the stage play Stranger Things: The First Shadow. If you haven't seen the play or read the spoilers for it, you might have missed some connections. The play details Henry Creel's origins, and this season is leaning heavy into that lore. When Max is hopping through Vecna's memories, she sees a younger version of Joyce putting on a play called Dark of the Moon at Hawkins High. That is a direct scene from The First Shadow. It confirms that the show and the play are inextricably linked. The Creel house, the origins of Henry's powers, the way he manipulates minds, it is all coming together into one cohesive narrative. It feels like the Duffers are rewarding the superfans who have consumed every piece of media, but explaining enough so casual viewers aren't totally lost. One of the biggest questions going into this volume was who was going to die. We were all terrified. But surprisingly, nobody from the main cast bit the dust in Volume 1. Hopper had that scare, but he survived. Dr. K is knocked out, but you don't hire Linda Hamilton for a cameo. She is definitely waking up in Volume 2. The body count was low for the heroes, but that just makes me more nervous for the final episodes. You know the deaths are coming. They are saving the heartbreak for the holidays. However, we do get a gruesome promise of a cameo from everyone's favorite missing character, Barb. The Duffers promised #justice for Barb, but it looks like that justice is just us seeing her dead body in the Upside Down, covered in vines and half buried. Speaking of which, we now have to wait until December 25th for the next batch of episodes. Netflix is giving us the gift of trauma for Christmas. Volume 2 consists of episodes 5, 6, and 7 dropping on Christmas Day, and then the grand finale, episode 8, drops on New Year's Eve. That finale is also being shown in select cinemas if you want to cry in public. And if that is not enough, they also announced a spin-off animated series coming in the new year called Stranger Things: Tales from '85. It is truly the end of an era, but at least we have a few more weeks to prepare our hearts for whatever fresh hell Vecna has planned for the holidays.